Hello everyone, how are you guys doing today? In today's video, I'm going to give you guys some of my first impressions of Tales of Arise. I plan on staying away from anything that involves spoilers, whether it be story, combat, character development, anything in that nature. I'm going to do my best to stay away from it for you guys. First and foremost, I'm about 15 hours into the game, and so far it's been a blast. The first thing you're going to notice about Tales of Arise is its gorgeous visual style. Now this game really seems like it's a anime aesthetic, kind of with some watercolor thrown in there, but it also looks sort of detailed at the same time as well. I am a big fan of what Bandai Namco did here, and it's just so stunning. It's a really unique take on a anime-esque and kind of still AAA-esque graphical setting. I think they did a really good job at kind of blending them both and then throwing in that watercoloring just makes it look so unique and stand out. I will say in the beginning of the game while you're in Calaglia, it doesn't stand out too much. It still looks great, but once you get into more lush environments, then you'll really start to see those colors pop. There's a lot of little things that Tales of Arise does that I really like in a JRPG. Now these things are not, the biggest changes or changing up the flow of how a JRPG plays out, but there are a lot of things it does really well and new things. So first and foremost, one thing I really like about this game is that you get a little check mark next to any NPC you already talked to, and everyone knows in any JRPG you play, you're going to be talking to a lot of NPCs. And it's nice to know that you're not going to circle around in craziness going, back and forth to this person and this person. It simply checks them off for you, and it's a nice step in the right direction. Another thing it really does is if you're going to sell an item, it'll just auto-generate all the hot commodity items for you, and you can sell those right off the bat. It's stuff like this in JRPGs that I really, really like because it shows that the genre itself is growing and it just makes everything so much easier. I kind of feel the same way about when a turn-based JRPG has a speed-up mechanic that you can use in battles. It's just, at this point, extremely welcomed, and it's something that should be a staple in JRPGs going forward. I think the voice acting is very top-notch as well. The characters come across very likable. You really start to get attached to them in terms of what happens with the plot. You really kind of grow with them. The nice thing about the story, without going into too much story details, is that essentially you're with opposing camps and they share the same interest, and that's what brings them together. But as the story develops, there's plot twists and more things that may get a little hectic. But I like that theme because at the end of the day, you can kind of see where things go. You do also have these skits that play out every now and again by pressing R1, and you'll see a prompt, I believe, at the bottom of your screen. And these are really nice because it gives a little more development to the characters and you can learn more about them. But sometimes they are a bit redundant, and I will say 3 of them in a row are a little too much, and sometimes they don't even pertain to the story or any of the characters. It's just kind of almost pointless in a sense, but I will say the characters are enjoyable enough that even with it having no relevancy, it's still fun to watch. Now the combat is what I personally have been enjoying the most so far. It's an action RPG, so essentially the way it works, like in previous Tales games, you have your button combos and then you have your arts. Now your arts are set to the face buttons, which takes a little bit to get used to because you have to use, I believe, L1 or R1 to attack, and you're so used to using the face buttons. And then you'll perform your arts, and you have essentially 6 different arts. So you'll have 3 ground arts, and then you have 3 aerial arts, and you can even use some of those ground arts to kind of transfer into a aerial art, which is really nice. And then from there you can possibly perform another aerial art that will bring them down to the ground. And so you can only play as one character, so far Alphen is going to be your protagonist, but you can control other characters while in battle, and you can control them while in the overworld as well. So technically you could play as multiple if you'd like throughout the entire game, or stick with one. And I will say the combat is really fast, it's really fluid. I haven't had any issues with it so far. I will say it can get a bit repetitive with some of the enemies because of course it has the traditional JRPG trope of you entering in the snow area, and then there's the snow wolf or this snow rock monster. So Without the enemies being kind of varied, sometimes it just feels a bit repetitive. And even with some of essentially the opposing side here is the Renans. And the Renan soldiers, in each area you go to, it's essentially the same Renan soldier in the same armor. And you would kind of think, because they're in different territories with different lords, that maybe there'd be a specific theme that they wanted to go to with their soldiers. But no, they're all the same. But that's not to say the combat is enjoyable. It's really fun, really flashy. There's a lot of combos that you can do with each of the characters. And those look great. The way those are animated, they did a great job with that. So if you guys are the least bit interested, you can try the demo that is available now and then see how you like the game. I personally am going to stick with it and finish it and see how it goes. I'm really, really liking it. It's potentially up there for my game of the year. So thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it. This is just a little off-the-cuff video I wanted to do, not scripted, just kind of get my thoughts together a little bit and spew it into the microphone here. And yeah, so hopefully I can be a little more consistent with things going forward. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. Have a good one.